Okay, so hello Bio 30. I tried to get this together earlier, but my computer and my camera ran out of memory as I was uploading some stuff for Science 30. So I'm going to give you guys a quick lesson on reproduction and development. By now, a lot of you guys have figured out that endocrine system unit tests and then all your repro assignments are online right now. So please continue to reference that stuff. Your bioethics assignment is here, right? So you also have a due date for that on the news feed. Here's some ideas for what you might want to do for bioethics. I gave you a video link as well. So again, I want a Prezi or I want a PowerPoint. And what you're going to do is you guys are going to look at different perspectives of a controversial reproductive technology issue. I'm going to do a quick lecture on Repro Tech today and then upload this to YouTube. So you need to look at social perspectives. This includes different stakeholders, ideological groups, could be religious groups, doesn't necessarily need to be. There's different ideologies that are not based in spirituality. You need to look at a perspective of an issue from a legal perspective. So what's current laws saying in different parts of the world and why are they the way they are? And that's obviously informed by morality. Science tells us what we can do, so give us the current technology and where the technology is going and what's possible. Don't want to tie ethics or morality to that, though. And then in the end, provide a set of sort of inquiring questions that'll make people think at the end of all of these, and that's sort of your educator's perspective. Some of these links are dead, and there's more recent information since I've compiled this project. So I don't want to worry too much about the resources, but look at an issue and see what's relevant. You have your rubric here. You know what you're being assessed on. This is all available on D2L. All right. So you guys know what you are being tested on. You know your due dates. Just look at the news feed. In D2L, this is going to be the first of many, many lectures over the next couple months on YouTube. So let's look at Repro Tech. You guys finish your development timeline. I also put an online version of your development timeline in Cummings's notes, right? So I'm going to remind you. Bio 30. Where are you going to find everything? So resources, go to your content section. These are all supplementary notes. Go to Cummings's notes and you will find everything you need there. Okay, so these are your PowerPoint notes. And you can see that I've posted a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so you know what's you know what to do there when. Anyway, Repro Tech. Reproductive technology is anything that enhances or reproduces reproductive potential. So it's anything that manipulates the natural process of reproduction, basically. So we're looking at assisting infertile couples, and we're also looking at improving contraception. So some repro techs improve fertility, excuse me, and some of them decrease it, right? Depending on the needs of an individual. I'm going to talk about a few basic technologies here. This is a really good sort of numerical response question that you could use in regards to anatomy. So you can see artificial insemination here. So you could see this is a really easy numerical response style question. If or when this happens, what parts of the reproductive process does it manipulate? Right, so you can see that you've got couples here that open up the vagina, and then there is a catheter that goes all the way through the uterus. And what we're trying to do is take the male sperm sometimes centrifuge it, and bring it closer to the oviduct. So that's what artificial insemination does. This is all in your notes too, right? And there's enough. So a man who has problems producing sperm, we try to get that sperm closer to the egg, or we try to concentrate it. This could also happen if someone wants to be artificially inseminated from sperm in a sperm bank. And you can see, this is how Michael Jackson's kids were born, by the way. You can take that information with what you will. This is in vitro fertilization, so you can see what happens here is sperm and egg are brought together in a petri dish. And then again, you can see that catheter moving through the cervix into the uterus. And then the fertilized eggs are brought into the uterus, and then hopefully they implant. This is the main way that surrogacy implants an embryo into a uterus. So it can be done when oviducts are blocked. The follicle of the female is mixed with male sperm in a petri dish. Sperm and egg can also be brought together through procedure in the fallopian tube, and this is called gamete intrafallopian transfer, or GIFT. And again, really easy anatomical question, like where's the place of implantation? And again, this is what surrogacy looks at, so that might be an interesting bioethics project for you to take a look at. Superovulation is the release of multiple eggs, so this is fertility treatment. This is done with commercialized surrogacy, where they're trying to maximize the amount of possible fertilizations. And let's say a family only wants one egg, wants one baby. Where do those other ones go? A lot of them end up being aborted, or they end up being human trafficked. So there's lots of social issues with some of these texts. Here's some reproductive technologies that reduce fertility. Right? Obviously, we all know that that's the best way to avoid early reproduction is just don't do it. Anyway, sterilization, vasectomy, you guys have already talked about this, and tubal ligation. And anyway, the oviducts are cut are cut and tied off with a tubal ligation. Generally happens after a cesarean section after birth. Vasectomy is way less invasive way to go. You don't even need to open up the scrotum anymore to do that. They can just use lasers. So you can see that the oviducts are cut, and vasectomy, the vas deferens is cut. We've talked about hormonal contraception. You guys have a contraception web quest assignment to do as well. Ovulation doesn't occur, right? So progesterone and estrogen those bottom end hormones are loaded, and you can see, right, some of the side effects. There's others, right, as well. Psychological problems in some individuals. You'll research more of that when you do your contraception assignment. These are some basic things that you should know. I would add an IUD in here as well, because that's something you need to know. But male-female condoms, right? Sponges, spermicides, you'll talk about those. There's a question in your contraceptive web quest that asks you to find different types of condoms. Like, I want different types of materials, like latex or silicone or whatever. I don't want like different forms, right? So, I don't want to know that there's like studded and smooth and stuff like that. So, all right, so research different types. You may hear of this, natural family planning as well, or NFP. NFP, I would say, is not, so if conception is, or intercourse is being engaged in, I would say that natural family planning is not the way to go if the reason for intercourse is not the possibility, if the reason for intercourse is not to create life. There's natural fluctuations in a female's menstrual cycle, and also, right, sperm can live in the reproductive tract of the female for quite a long time. Monitoring a female cycle requires taking mucus swabs of the female reproductive tract and monitoring body temperature really closely. So there's natural fluctuations. So it's effective if the couple is always open to life. Not effective if the goal of intercourse is to not have a kid. So just keep that in mind when you think about things like NFP. Anyway, there's a different goal with that, right? Other than just directly avoiding reproduction. So these are some things you can think about with your bioethics projects. You can look at that in my notes. And there's your bioethics assignment. Anyway, so some review questions. I just want to look over some of these really quickly. With Repro Tech. So again, Reproduction starts on page 45 of your key. Where do I want you to go with this? So some Repro Tech and human development questions. Question 18, take a look at. All right. This talks about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Make sure you read the answers in the back. To this question right here, numerical response number 3 in the practice, one of the practice tests. Take a look at this and memorize this. All right. This is likely something that you're going to see. So this is a developing embryo, and it's asking you to piece together the different parts of extraembryonic structures with the actual picture. So this is an actual electron microscope of a developing embryo, and you can see number 1 is the amnion, number 2 is the placenta, number 3 is the umbilical cord, and number 4 is the yolk sac. And that's not intuitive when you first look at it. And you can see, all right, so when we look at these things, what are your answers? All right, so A, when we look at these different structures. Okay, so C is right, if I look at C here, C is 2, the placenta. So 1 is B, so the amnion provides protection. 2 is the site of exchange between embryonic and maternal blood. That's the placenta. Transports embryonic blood. 3, that's the umbilical cord. All right. So the blood gets transferred from the embryo into the mother and out. Right. Wastes move back and forth. And then D is used for nourishment in invertebrates other than mammals. That's your yolk sac. So take a look at that. 3, 1, 2, 4 is the answer to that. That's not as easy as it looks. You've got to take a look at that a few times. Okay, so there are quite a few very good human development questions in the unit test here as well. Question 8, right, if we look at this, it says researchers have developed a birth control vaccine that would be given once a year. This vaccine is made from a fragment of HCG attached to a protein. The vaccine causes a woman to manufacture antibodies that bind to HCG molecules and present in the blood. The antibodies prevent HCG from functioning and thereby affect the implantation of a blastocyst. So HCG, remember, keeps the corpus luteum from degenerating, so maintains the endometrium. So if I look at question 8 here, 8 says the vaccine affects the permanent implantation of a blastocyst by indirectly. So if we destroy HCG, it directly affects progesterone, but it causes the disintegration of the endometrium, right? So progesterone levels will decline. Okay. 9 is about the timeline. So you can see the answer there. Which of the steps of human development occurs after chorion development? Okay, so the chorion, right, is the fetal portion of the placenta. Right, you can see that A, B, and C are not the right answer to that. D is. So the chorion, remember, comes from the trophoblast of the blastocyst. So all of that will form, and then organs will form after implantation and cleavage and fertilization and all that stuff. Okay. So that's about your germ layers, and again, look at your germ layers with the with your human development, timeline. Anyway, take a look at all these questions and go through them. I'm going to leave this lecture here today. You have lots of work to do. I'll be likely posting lectures daily. It might not be for a couple days because the next unit itself is ecology. That'll be the next thing that I lecture on. It probably won't be for until the start of next week because you guys have lots of stuff to do with Repro. Stay posted on the news feed. Fire me some questions on D2L if you need anything. Otherwise, keep up the good work. We'll talk to you when we talk to you. Bye.